You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Now, the good news is we are seeing it become more available, and you know, we've seen Google start to offer it. We've seen Amazon offer it, AWS, the use of passkeys for authentication. So, you know, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, the phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan from the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
We got some good stories to share this week. And later in the show, Mike Kossak, Senior Principal Intelligence Analyst at LastPass, is talking about password managers and securing your identity online. But first, a word from our sponsors at KnowBe4. We're not talking conspiracy theory when we say it's all connected. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. Though not as common, the same should be true for security awareness training. Not only does KnowBe4 deliver the world's largest library of security awareness training, but they also provide a way to integrate the various elements of your existing security stack to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. Stay with us, and in a few minutes, we'll hear from our sponsors at KnowBe4 about how you can integrate security awareness with your tech stack like never before. All right, Joe, before we dig in here, just a little quick follow-up. What do you got for us?
So I was wondering if any of our listeners who are trying to get into the cybersecurity industry would be interested in a free entry-level cybersecurity exam certification and the accompanying training for it. So the ISC Squared, the ISC2, is offering they have a new certification called the Certified in Cybersecurity, the CC.
Okay.
So these are the people that do the CISSP and all the other more experienced certifications, but this is their new, I don't want to say competitor, but kind of counterpart to Security Plus.
Okay.
And they are trying to get 1 million people to get this certification. And they're offering it free. They're giving you a free training course and a free exam voucher. They only give you one exam voucher, so you got to pass in the first try.
Okay.
But I saw this and said, "Hey, I like free stuff."
Okay.
Even though I'm not an entry level person in this industry, I took the test and went through the training all the way through the training.
Yeah,
pretty good training.
Okay, good.
It's pretty good, and I passed the test. So now I am certified. I was worried.
That's right.
Certified in cybersecurity. The training is well done. I'll say this is well put together, and I enjoyed the experience. And the test was the test voucher worked just fine. So I've gone through this process. I recommend anybody who wants to go into this field who is looking for something. Here is something that costs you absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
and can get you certified. Now this is not recognized by like the Department of Defense here in the U.S. like the Security Plus is.
Right.
At least not yet. It may be down the road.
Okay.
I would be unsurprised to see that happen.
The other thing I like about these sorts of things, and even better when they're free, is that it's a nice way to see if this sort of thing actually is for you.
Right.
You know, going through this process gives you a good sense of what you're in for.
I will say this. After you're done and you pass the exam and you become a member, there is like a $50 a year membership fee.
Okay.
That you'll have to pay when you pass the test.
Oh, okay.
So it's...
Or they like hold your certificate, say hostage or something for $50?
I think so, yeah. Something like that.
Okay. All right. So nothing is actually free in this world, Joe.
Right. They're making you a member and paying $50 a year. But, I mean, the certification is getting the certification, going through all that process is completely risk-free for anybody that wants to take it.
Yeah. Sounds like a good value.
I would say so, yes.
All right, very good. We'll have a link to that in the show notes.
Yes, we will.
Joe, we wanted to kick things off for us here. What's your story?
So my story comes from the Washington Post, and it's actually a follow-up to one of our stories from last week.
Okay.
It's a follow-up to Maria's story about Charlotte Coles from the magazine in New York, the fashion magazine.
Right.
You know, the one I never read. But
Just looking at you, Joe, I can tell that you never read that magazine.
you're always wearing the same quarter zip in the winter, Joe. And the thing is, I actually have a closet full of them, Dave. I said, I like this. I'm going to buy 10 of them.
There you go.
So last year, consumers reported losing more than $10 billion in fraud, which is a big increase. And the FTC said some of the largest losses came due to investment scams, and another $2.7 billion of losses came to imposter scams like the one that Coles fell for, that Charlotte Coles fell for.
Huh.
So this article is from Michelle Singletary, and she points out in this article that natural-born skeptics, natural born is kind of hard to say, natural-born skeptics might shake their heads and view someone who falls for one of these scams, especially like a scam where you lose $50,000, like Charlotte did, and be like, how could you do that? I mean, I understand that reaction. It's a natural reaction, but you've got to understand how these things work. And one of the key things that Singletary is talking about here is she had to stifle her own self-righteousness after reading Charlotte's article, because she reminded herself of how she got scammed 23 years ago. So what happened to Michelle Singletary was she was going to the gym to, I think, do some kind of aerobics.
Okay.
Right? She puts leaves her purse in the car. And then while she's in the gym gets a phone call, and they're paging her by name. So she goes to the front desk and she says, she gets answers the phone, and the guy identifies himself as the manager of her bank, of a branch of her bank. And he says, "Are you missing your purse?" And she goes, "I don't know." So she runs out to her car. Her window is broken. Her purse is gone.
Wow.
Right? So she goes back in and she goes, "As a matter of fact, I am missing your purse." And this guy on the phone says, "Well, we caught the guy who stole your purse when he came to the bank and he tried to use your ATM card to get money out.
Okay.
So we have him here. Just to make sure, how much money did you have in your wallet before you were gone? Before your purse was stolen?" And he says, she says, "I had X number of dollars." And they're like, "Well, that money is no longer in here. What else was in your purse?" And she starts listing off items. Now, this guy sounds very professional. He says, one of the things that tipped us off was the broken glass in the purse. Just for verification, can I get the PIN number on your ATM card? And she is already in the loop with this guy. Needless to say, all of our listeners know the guy calling her is the same guy that broke the window.
Wow.
Right? He watched her go into the gym, smash the window, and then came outside. All I had to do was look up the phone number and know the phone number of the gym. He got all of her personal identifiable information.
Oh, right. He's got her driver's license.
Her driver's license, her wallet, her credit card. Knows what bank he's supposed to impersonate. Very simple scam.
Right.
Right? Not as complex as the one that affected Charlotte Coles. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your last name, but not as complex as the one that affected Charlotte, where they kept her on the phone for 5 hours.
Yeah.
This guy was probably only on the phone with her for like 15 minutes. And then he runs and he immediately withdraws $500 out of the bank account and gets an extra $500 out of her.
Right. And at no point did it strike her that it was odd that her bank knew to call her at the gym.
Never occurred to her that was odd. Right?
Yeah.
Right. How did they know that she was at the gym? That should have been a red flag, right?
Yeah.
How do you know I'm here?
But I could see you easily letting that go upon the person on the other end of the line telling you,
"Yeah, I'm from your bank.
You're from the bank and we're here to help."
Right, yeah.
Right.
So Michelle Singletary's big thing here is that she shared her story back in 2001 and received similar feedback from what Charlotte Coles is getting, right? Like, how could you be so silly to fall for this?
Right.
And she says a couple of good sentences towards the end of this article. "We silence victims by shaming them. We need more people willing to come forward to help combat this epidemic of financial crimes. But they won't talk about how they fell for the fraud if we keep being if we are judgmental."
Yeah.
Every story serves as a cautionary tale to others, which is something you and I have been saying on this show for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So Michelle Singletary is 100% correct here. And that the last line of this article is you should put away your smugness because there are swindles out there that are going to work on you.
Yeah.
Put away your smugness is the title of this, which I really think is a great title for this headline for this article.
It is.
It's kind of an opinion piece, and I don't, like I say, I don't like reading opinion pieces, but I guess when they agree with my opinions, Dave, I sure like reading them.
That's right. Just earlier today, I was saying, I was chatting with somebody over on Mastodon about how one of the things that I like least about the online cybersecurity community is that there is a small subset of folks who have this sense of smug superiority.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
And I just can't stand it. It just makes me angry.
Counterproductive.
Right, and
it's counterproductive.
It's become a stereotype.
Yeah.
Remember? I don't know if you remember the bits on Saturday Night Live
I was
with
just
Jimmy
thinking
Kimmel.
About those.
When he was the IT guy who would come at people and say move. Yeah, right.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yep.
Right. But it's this idea that you're not a victim, you're an idiot.
Right.
And oh God,
there's a reason that SNL skit was hilarious.
Right.
It's because it's true.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you might argue that it's stereotypical, that not all the cybersecurity practitioners are like that. I certainly try not to be.
Yeah. But enough of them are. That we got the joke.
That we got the joke. Exactly.
Yeah. I do feel like it's changing. I feel as though with the continued professionalism that is coming to cybersecurity, where it's no longer that that superhero person who is a national treasure who, has been doing this since they were a teenager and they had a, like wrestlers and rappers, they have a code name.
Right.
That
has lots of sevens and plus signs in it.
Yeah, Space Wizard or something. But that because we're falling out of that era and we're falling into the era where it's just a traditional job. You're coming up through, you're getting trained, either a trade school or college or whatever, and businesses just aren't going to go with that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't act that way towards your coworkers.
So, if you think about the plumber, the plumber that comes to your house,
right?
When you've got a clog down there, I know plumbers that work in commercial business.
Yeah.
But when they come into residential, they are like that. They're like, why? Why did you put the grease down the sink like this?
Right.
Why did you do that? But the residential plumbers are like, oh, it's okay. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Because they know that'll be $300.
Right. And anyway, I could complain about this all day, and it is something that just gets under my skin because I think
I'm with you on that 100%.
It's unnecessary and it's a shame and it's not helpful.
But we've got to realize that the reason we do this is to protect the people doing their business or going about their lives.
Yeah.
And it doesn't serve anybody, either in the industry or out of it, to ridicule those people when they are victimized by a scammer.
Right. They've gone through enough.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one ringer. Don't put them through another one.
Right. Absolutely. All right, interesting stuff. Well, my story this week is actually about Costco. Joe, do you have a Costco membership?
I do, Dave.
Okay.
They let me wear my sunglasses when I took my picture for the back of the card.
That's adorable, Joe.
Big cheesy smile.
There you go.
The only picture on any ID card I'm actually smiling for.
Okay.
I'm not smiling in my driver's license, Dave.
Okay.
But that's because I'm at the MVA.
So for folks who may not be familiar, Costco is certainly, I don't know, they may be the largest membership club in the U.S. Certainly one of them. There's Costco, there's BJ's, are there any other ones? I can't remember.
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club, there you go.
Right, that's the one that's run by the Walton family. It's Walmart.
Right. So these are one of those big warehouse stores where you pay an annual membership fee and then you go in and you can buy a 6-pack of lawn tractors.
Right. And, Dave, you can get a foot-long hot dog and a Pepsi for $1.50.
There you go.
Awesome.
It's a great country or what?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an article pointing out that there is a Costco membership email scam that is targeting members' credit card information. And evidently this is a highly effective phishing scam.
Really?
So what happens is you get an email that's pretends to be from Costco, very well formatted, very well worded. There really aren't any red flags about this. And they are claiming that your Costco membership has expired. And then they urge you to sign up for a free 90-day membership extension.
See, that'd be the first red flag for me.
Yeah.
Because I know that's not part of Costco's business model is the membership fee.
Right.
Right? They're not giving away that membership for free.
Yeah. So when you go for this free extension, they want you to enter your credit card information and all of your personal information.
Right.
So that's the
scam.
Yeah. So the article goes on and talks about how legit it looks. They've got some advice from the Better Business Bureau who say you should contact Costco directly or visit the official website to check for membership changes. In other words, don't click on any links that are in an email that you get from someone who claims to be Costco.
Failing that, you can walk into the member service center.
There you go. I wonder how many people get this scam who aren't actually Costco members at all.
That's an excellent question.
Probably a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's just one of those broad net phishing scams.
Yeah.
That they send out 1 million of them, and if 100,000 of those people are Costco members, it's going to catch their eye.
Right. So here's the thing about this, Joe. I saw this story and I thought, oh, this would be nice for Hacking Humans, but I thought there's not too much here, so I'm going to have to go hunt down a second story to flesh out, my part of the show today.
Right.
So, but as I was researching this and I was on Costco's website, what I discovered is they have an entire page on their website that's dedicated to currently known scams.
Huh.
This is amazing.
Hold on. Let me check this out.
So this has fraudulent websites, fraudulent cart notification, fraudulent autumn giveaway email, fraudulent Facebook offer, fraudulent survey text, fraudulent satisfaction survey. The list goes on and on. Free television, exclusive giveaway, USPS scam, letter survey. And they have screen grabs from all of them.
Amazing.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Why isn't everyone doing this?
I don't know.
So I was so pleasantly surprised that, because here's what it seems to me like many retailers pretend like this isn't happening.
Right.
Somehow by acknowledging it, somehow it's going to hurt their reputation or, I don't know, somehow align them with the bad guys.
There are bad guys out there impersonating us. Let's pretend they don't exist.
Right. We'll just stick our fingers in our ears and whistle and walk away.
Yes.
So to see Costco getting in front of this,
right,
and to show this as you scroll down, it's just screen grabs of all the different stuff that people have sent them.
Fake interview confirmation.
Right. This is wonderful. Loyalty rewards, overcharge reimbursement text messages, surveys with exclusive offers. Like I said, a free television, just interviews. If you're there, if you want a job at Costco, there are fake interview scams, of course, and they're all right here for the looking. Joe, we could do an entire year's worth of Catch of the Days,
right,
just from everything that's listed here on the Costco website. So. We're going to have a link to this in the show notes. I recommend folks look through it. This would be a great thing to send to your friends and family because of the wide spectrum of scams that are all listed here.
Yeah.
And they've got the bad things pointed out about them. This is really a nice resource for...
I have never been more proud to have a membership at a store than I am right now.
Okay.
This is very well done. This is excellent. And like you said, Dave, all these other retailers like Walmart and Target and whoever else.
Yeah.
You're right. It's as if they think that by saying, hey, we're Target's a scam, they're going to scare business away. But Costco's like, hey, look, doesn't matter who you are. People are going to impersonate you. There are bad people out there trying to do that.
Right.
Pay attention to what we have to say here about what these fake things look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
This looks like a genuine customer education campaign.
Right. I would say, Joe, that maybe Costco could send us a free coupon for a free hot dog or something.
That'd be nice.
How would we know it's not a scam?
Right? How do we know it's not a scam?
Right, exactly.
Maybe next time I walk in, they go, "Oh, Joe, come with me."
Right. I'm just picturing you, striding up to the hot dog stand with your coupon for the free hot dog, very happy, pleased with yourself, and them say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kerrigan.
This is a scam.
This is a scam."
But I paid $100 for this.
What?
I'm supposed to get free hot dogs for life.
Right, exactly. I gave him all my credit card information. Oh, my. All right, well, that's what I have.
Like I said, it
us.
could happen to the best of us. It happens to everybody, and that would be something that would work on me.
What would it take for Joe to get scammed? A free hot dog. That's
Free
about
hot
it. Free,
I'm going to tell you a
free
story.
Costco hot dog.
I'm going to tell you an honest, true story, Dave.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was watching TV, and there was this car lot, like used car thing,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, "Hey, kids, tell your parents to come on down. We got free hot dogs at this place." And I'm like, "Hey, Dad." My dad's like, "What, are you kidding me? For a free hot dog, I'm going to go sit and listen to a used car salesman?"
Right. Load the family in the car.
Right.
Go down to the car dealer.
So, this is a lure that has already worked on me at least once.
I see. So you're self-aware at least.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's my story. We will have a link to that original Costco membership email scam, and then also the page with all of their currently known scams. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. Joe, it's time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from Price. He says, "As much as I want to download and click all the links, I'll leave this one alone to the experts." So it's one of those Norton LifeLock invoices.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of red flags in it.
Okay, it sure does. It starts off and it says, "We have received the request of Norton payment as you have made is successful." Okay.
Right.
One sentence, Joe.
That's right.
First of all, Norton is capital N-O-R, capital T-O-N.
Right. Norton. Not kilograms. Right.
Not ounces.
Not metric tons.
Nor
Right.
tons. Yeah. As you have made is successful. All right.
That's, I
Did they misspell successful? I'm a terrible speller.
This is an image, so I can't tell.
Should successful have two L's?
I
at
don't
the
think
end?
it does. I think it only has one L.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even know if it has two S's and two C's, but I think it does have two C's.
I think it does. Yeah, but I think there's only supposed to be one L on the end.
In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say I know this is not the case because the anecdote I've always heard is that bookkeeper is the only word in the English language with 3 double letters, or maybe it's 3 consecutive double letters.
Okay. It goes on. It says, "You do not need to take any action. We just wanted to let you know."
Awful nice of them.
Then it says, "Summary has an order ID, product name, Total AV Ultimate Antivirus. Payment method." So method.
Like a cathode.
Right, exactly. Your method. You got your cathode ray, you got your method ray.
And your anode ray.
Your anode ray, yeah. It says auto and debit total $566.69 US dollars. Nice.
Right.
Order status confirmed.
Confirmed. Good to know.
Your recent payment will done within 24 hours on February 20th, 2024. The amount will take 24 hours to appear in your bank statements. So, worth noting that this says don't bother looking at your bank statement because if they're preloading you to
Right.
think that if you don't see it there, that's normal.
Right. This is, it says contact us if you want to modify or cancel your plan.
Mhm.
That part has perfect English, by the way.
It does. And then there's a
and
phone number.
There's a phone number that's oddly spaced with lots of parentheses, so it makes it through your spam filter.
Right. Well, and because most of the time, if you're going to put brackets around, or I guess they're parens, if you're going to put
Right.
parentheses around any part of a phone number, it's the area code.
Correct.
Although even that is kind of fallen out of publishing style, I would say.
Yeah, I just see it now with dashes.
Yeah, but they have parens around everything, or each cluster of numbers.
Yep.
No dashes, and they are oddly set apart with a ridiculous number of spaces between them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And that is so that it does not look like a phone number to the spam filter.
I see.
That's why that is.
Yeah. All right. Well,
That's
that was
a good one.
Short and sweet, but
Yep.
fun and
So chock full of
it is.
grammatical errors.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Price, for sending that in. We do appreciate it. And once again, if there's something you want us to consider, do email us. Back to the concept of integrations. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, Cisco, and dozens of others. Security Coach analyzes alerts your security stack generates to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. With this information, you can set up real-time coaching campaigns to target risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. These campaigns enable you to coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. With 35 integrations and counting, Security Coach delivers the insight you need to improve your organization's security culture. Learn more about Security Coach at knowbe4.com/securitycoach. That's knowbe4.com/securitycoach. Joe, I recently had the pleasure of speaking with Mike Kosak. He is a senior principal intelligence analyst at LastPass, and we're talking about one of our favorite subjects, password managers.
All right.
We also talk about things like passkeys and just a general conversation about keeping yourself safe online, your identity safe online. Here's my conversation with Mike Kosak.
Passkeys, are certainly the hot topic. We're at the start of the technology adoption life cycle there, I think. They're becoming more commonplace, but we are still in the early stages. And when we, from a threat intelligence perspective, look at that, and when we kind of want to look at the future and see where things are going, what we expect to see is the increasing adoption of passkeys as people start to use them more and more. That's going to fundamentally change the cyber threat landscape as it really sort of forces threat actors off their game to move away from credential theft and legitimate credentials, which, as you know, have played such a huge role in so many breaches, and more towards session tokens. That's kind of where we see them going. Sort of starting to see this take place now. We're seeing the bow wave of this as session hijacking trends are starting to increase, and that's something that we expect to see continue, and this is really a reflection of the typical arms race that you see when one thing is one aspect of security is addressed, or changes. We see threat actors change their game to try and it becomes fundamentally an arms race between cyber defenders and cyber attackers as they try and find the next hole.
Well, you mentioned session hijacking. Can we dig into that a little bit? To what exactly goes into that, and why have so many threat actors pivoted to take that approach?
Sure. So, anytime you set up a communication through HTTP, you're assigned a session token. And that sort of identifies you and who you are and what you're talking about and that sort of thing, to use colloquialisms. So that session token that identifies you and who you are becomes a target because oftentimes it can be used to get around authentication and kind of, jump right into an active session and allow an attacker to pick right up and access where you were and whatever you were doing on whatever site you were on, whatever account you were on. So that's fundamentally it. It allows them to kind of jump the line, jump through authentication, and kind of jump right into your account or whatever site you are on. So what we see already is info stealers, which have certainly grown in use and over the last few years. We see them targeting session tokens now too, and we see them being sold on the dark web in these info stealer logs. They're being stolen from people's computers and then used and sold on the dark web so that people can use them for attacks.
And does the adoption of pass keys, does that help protect us against session hijacking?
It doesn't necessarily. So it takes, it's one of those things where session hijacking is still a relatively small part of initial attack initial attack vectors. It's really still that the lion's share is focused on legitimate credentials. But this is where we kind of, when we start to look to the future, we expect to see that ratio change fundamentally over time. So we see it now. We see the early adoption. We see the trend up. But there are other steps that companies will, and other organizations will probably need to take just to kind of check the doors and windows for their own, session security as those TTPs, those tactics, techniques, and procedures change.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's still kind of early days when it comes to passkeys. And, my experience is there's a lot of talk about it and I think some genuine excitement, but the adoption is a little bit slower, which I guess is a natural thing with something that's new like this. Are there any particular barriers that are keeping folks from jumping in with both feet here?
I think a lot of it is just sort of comfort and familiarity. Those are probably the two biggest. LastPass and Fido did some research on this and released it later or late last year. And really, that was a lot of what we found is sort of the biggest barrier to entry right now, at least among organizations, was familiarity and comfort with it, just learning more about it and how to adopt it and how to roll it into their existing tech stack. The interesting thing with this too is, so that's from the defensive side. When we look in the dark web at some of the conversations that are happening in cyber criminal forums or other chat rooms and stuff like that, we see threat actors talking about this too. And exactly to your point, Dave, part of what they're talking about is an expectation that they don't expect to see, particularly individuals adopting passkeys for a while. They expect to see large enterprises sort of driving that adoption, but they're sort of relying on people not picking it up. Now, the good news is we are seeing it become more available, and we've seen Google start to offer it. We've seen Amazon offer it, AWS, the use of passkeys for authentication. So, I think we're heading in the right direction.
We've seen some shifts from the government responding to some foreign adversaries. So we've seen a lot of coverage of this Chinese threat group, Volt Typhoon, and the government has taken some additional attention towards securing passwords and credentials. What's your thoughts on where we are with that right now?
Volt Typhoon in particular is just a fascinating example, and to your point, we've seen some really remarkable steps by the U.S. government, and for instance, just in the last couple of weeks, the announcement of the disruption of the KV botnet. Volt Typhoon is so unique because there is this real emphasis for a nation state threat actor, not just on cyber espionage, which is usually what these are associated with, but really fundamentally with almost for the express purpose of being able to conduct disruptive or destructive attacks in the event of a geopolitical conflict. We see Volt Typhoon targeting critical infrastructure networks or supporting sectors, and which is just fascinating and a bit of an outlier for a lot of what you see with nation state activity. They're also associated with these really highly effective use of living off the land techniques that makes them stealthy and efficient. So, we've seen the Five Eyes governments in the last few weeks release this guidance, both in alerts and also some joint guidance documentation. These are coming from the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand jointly, providing really comprehensive and useful detection and mitigation strategies to defend against not just Volt Typhoon, but living off the land techniques generally. And for us in particular, one of the things that's most interesting are their recommendations around password and credential management, which really highlight a lot of the basic guidance that you see, but are really important. So in the most recent alert, they mentioned not using or using complex passwords, avoiding default passwords whenever possible. This is especially a big issue with operational technology. And they specifically mention using credential managers or other means to store credentials securely on your network, really highlighting that it's not just a matter of convenience on that sort of credential manager aspect anymore, but really a matter of necessity.
What is on the horizon for you and your colleagues there at LastPass as we look towards the future of password management and really managing our credentials in general? Where do you suppose we're headed?
I think passkeys is where we're headed. It's the way of the future, and moving more towards unified credential management. So making it easy to use passkeys, making it easier than ever to use passwords, and really sort of adopting with the market as it changes.
For our listeners, what are your words of wisdom here for ways to not only protect themselves, but, a lot of our folks are concerned about their parents, their loved ones, their friends and family, that sort of thing. Any tips for them?
Absolutely. I can't stress enough the importance of protecting your credentials. It's far too easy to kind of get into the habit of just reusing passwords or using what's simple. That's the way threat actors are getting in the front door. So the more you can do to protect yourself right there and kind of stop the cyber kill chain at that first aspect, the better off you are. And that's not just for individuals, that's for companies, really any organization or individual out there.
Joe, what do you think?
I like that passkeys are going to be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
I want this to happen faster.
Yeah.
I would like passwords to go away. I don't know that's going to happen anytime soon, and I'll touch more on that as we get through these comments here. But one of the things that's going to happen is this is going to make the bad actors move to session hijacking.
Okay.
Because phishing is pretty effective in getting username and password.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're using just username and password with no multi-factor authentication, they've got you. And they're going into your account, and that's it. That's all. They're going to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
It depends on whether or not it's a Facebook account, an email account, whatever. They're just going to be abusing that account. So when it comes to session hijacking, particularly on web-based systems, like let's say your social media accounts, like you like Mastodon, right?
Yeah.
So that's a website you go to.
Right.
Let me explain a little deeper what a session token is. And I'm going to not get too technical, but it's basically a cookie. So there's in a web application, there's two main pieces. There's the web server and the web client. The web server says, here's a cookie. And the web client goes, I'll give this back to you next time I send a request. And that's what happens. That's all it is.
Okay.
There is really no session on a web application. That is all an illusion. And these cookies and these session tokens that are stored within those cookies that are just lines of text, that's all they are. They're the thing that creates the illusion of a session.
Okay.
So if I can get that cookie from somebody, that session ID, I can then pretend to be that person. Usually what happens is I'm just going to steal all their cookies, right?
Okay.
And then set them in my browser appropriately, and then connect to the website again. And the website will think that the user whose cookies I've just stolen has connected from a different IP address.
Is there typically any encryption or anything with these session tokens?
The session tokens are encrypted usually when they go across the network.
Okay.
Right? So when everything is packaged up into an HTTPS packet, that is actually going just into an HTTP packet that then gets encrypted in the TLS layer. Right?
So while it's in transit,
it's encrypted. It gets encrypted.
But when it's sitting on my computer, it's not.
It's not encrypted, and when it's on the website at the other end, it's not encrypted.
Okay.
So if I can just get into your memory or even just open up the browser and just look through what you have there, it's just text.
Right.
Just
okay.
ASCII text. So that's why it's possible to steal these things.
Okay.
And there's software out there called InfoStealers that do this. A couple weeks or months ago, I had a story about a friend of mine who had his Discord taken over. And the reason that worked is because apps like Discord and Slack, there's a development environment called Electron, which is really just a development environment that sits on top of Chromium, which is the browser underneath of Chrome. It's also the browser underneath of Edge, Opera, and Brave.
Kind of the engine.
It's the engine, right?
Uh-huh.
But that engine manages all these cookies.
Okay.
So if I can get onto somebody's computer and get into all their Chromium instances, whether that be Discord, Slack, Chrome browser, Edge, Brave, whatever. I can steal their info and then impersonate them.
Okay.
But this is a lot harder to do than just leading someone to a phishing site and collecting their username and password.
I see.
The big problem here is that if I'm going to impersonate you, I'm going to impersonate you after you've done your multi-factor authentication. There are some technical implementations that can be done here, but I think that will add friction, a lot of friction. All the ones that come to my mind immediately would add friction for the users. I've been thinking about this a lot today, actually, about how would you solve this problem. I've got a couple of ideas in my head on how you do it server side, but suffice to say, it would not be an overnight migration.
Okay.
It's interesting to me that over at LastPass, their research shows that these bad actors don't think the average person is going to use passkeys. And I don't know if I agree with that. I think there will be some kind of software solution that comes down the line that makes it easy for the average person to do. I also think that might be one of those single points of failure that could be exploited. I don't know. But if you can get out in front of the technical wherewithal to get out in front of this and start using passkeys, do that now.
Yeah, like if you are on the leading edge of the passkey transition,
right?
Does that make you less low-hanging fruit than someone who's not?
Correct, it does.
I
for the
it
time
does.
being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when the majority of people are using passkeys, you're going to be at the same level of fruit hanging. Is that
hangage? Yeah, danglage. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Something Mike said in passing is very true. Using some manner of credential management is imperative, especially in operational technology. This is the cyber-physical stuff. These are things like critical infrastructure, or even if you're not critical infrastructure, like manufacturing.
Yeah.
All of these SCADA systems and industrial control systems.
These are all the automated valves and widgets and all the things that open and close and keep civilization purring along.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
And I am disheartened. I was going to say I can't believe, but I absolutely can believe this. But I'm still disheartened that we have to caution people against using the default password in the operational technology world.
Yeah.
That's the basic. Another thing, while we're talking about operational technology, is this alert that you guys discussed from CISA about Vault Typhoon. Should be a warning to everyone in the critical infrastructure industry, including the smaller companies. These guys are 100% coming after the smaller companies. So they know you don't have the big cybersecurity budgets. So don't think that you're too small, that these guys don't care about you. You are exactly who they care about. There are probably people specialized in getting into your systems, and they may be less experienced people on the team, but they are there to get into the smaller contributors in the critical infrastructure world. So do the things that you can do that are cheap or free. Air gap your operational technology if that's possible. That's one of the biggest things you can do. Change the password from the default password. Change your password from the default password. How many times should I have to say this, Dave? Change your password. Use a password manager, and if it's possible, use multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
That's really the best things you can do right off the bat to again, move yourself up that fruit tree so you're not hanging at the bottom of it.
There you go. That's right. All right. Well, our thanks to Mike Cossack. He is the Senior Principal Intelligence Analyst at LastPass, and we do appreciate him taking the time. We want to thank all of you for listening, and of course, we want to thank our sponsors at KnowBe4. They are experts at enabling a fully integrated approach to security awareness training. That is our show. We want to thank all of you for listening. Our thanks to the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute for their participation. You can learn more at isi.jhu.edu. A quick reminder that N2K Strategic Workforce Intelligence optimizes the value of your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your team while making your team smarter. Learn more at n2k.com. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. This show is edited by Trey Hester. Our executive editor is Peter Kilpe. I'm Dave Bittner.
And I'm Joe Kerrigan.
Thanks for listening.